emotional analytics?
Okay, so I think an interesting topic in hand, and something which perhaps serves a lot to kind of help organizations, managers understand how best one can support employees. I think today, especially in HR, as we talk so much about ensuring, inclusion, authentic expression at the workplace, it's a tool that really sort of helps you to kind of, look at what is working, right? I mean, what is it that your employees need? What are they going through? How do they feel about, policies, systems, the work environment on a day-to-day basis, right? I mean, some teams are probably going, experiencing high energy, working on a great project. Some teams are probably not experiencing that, and you want to understand what's not working well there. So I think it's a good set of tools to kind of, bring into an organization setting. What I would, however, think is that, most things as you sort of bring it into an organization setting probably needs also a little bit of, some kind of a structure and regulation to kind of drive it, because you are at the end of the day, hopefully going to be able to help the individual, but also understand the individual a little deeply, right? And how much of it that the individual wants to, sort of make known or make it visible in the workplace is something that, you might want to consider. So is there a room for having a policy, right, to kind of drive that, is something that I think we should think about.
So when we are talking about emotional analytics, I mean, are we and this is when this actually came up for discussion, and coming from where I come from, what are we talking? I mean, are we talking about emotional analytics at a very base level in terms of in terms of having a framework to understand the emotions of an employee and a team member, or are we actually looking at getting advanced tools like having AI tell you what's the mood of an employee? I mean, are we looking at that end of the spectrum? I think that's something that I was actually confused about. So what's been your experience, especially when you're handling human resources?
Yeah, I think I'll take that question because quite resonate with what she just brought up. Lakshmi mentioned this. To me, today we call it emotional analytics. But we have experimented with moodometers for a couple of in my previous assignment. We had this 5 emoticons. So we ask an individual to go and log into any one particular emoticon when he enters, and when he leaves the system in the evening, the end of the day. So people came back to us and said, why do you want to take something at the end of the day? It's always going to be a happy face or a super happy face. But that wasn't the case. How this helped us, this tool really helped us was, we had it as an extension to a larger HRMS system that we had brought in. It did help us understand those who were disengaged on getting there for various reasons. I don't like my manager. I don't like the technology I'm working in. I don't like the person sitting next to me. Right, and I want a change of seat. Umpteen reasons, but consistently when we observed that a week, 2 weeks, a person's mood goes right down there. So if you took one, the high of the scale, and somebody keeps clocking a 4 and a 5, an equal and smiley, then we understood that the person wasn't keeping too very well in the system. Then the HR team sort of took this up and we piloted it, but it worked very well for us. We got in touch with them through our extended, we had this employee assistance programs, EAPs, right? So the EAP partner actually, because they maintain it to be anonymous, and these inputs are not relayed back to us unless they detect something suicidal in nature. Unless it's that bad, right? It doesn't come to us. At the end of the day, we want the individual to get the help he or she needs without HR having to directly influence, or rather, bring it up on record, put it on record. And all of us shy, and we all have our own ups and downs on a daily basis. So this tool helped us. Now, if I were to extend that to an emotional analytics, yes, it's definitely going to help us to understand, to what extent an individual is engaged with the system. Can I give him, a much bigger, larger assignment? Will he be somebody I can rely on? To that extent, yes. But I oftentimes wonder, are we not being too intrusive into the privacy of the individual? This is a thought which has occurred to me. Because when I did call one individual and I asked this lady, I said, why are you being sad 3 days in a week or 4 days? She said, is that something HR really needs to know? This is personal to me. I actually got thinking. She was right.
I think the last point what you said is actually was going in the top of my mind. Already there is this human machine intervention. It's really getting deeper and deeper, and the human quotient is actually getting missed. We are trying only to go deep further, go to the tunnel and find out if it is going to help in terms of individual effort to say that can I do something new task today or a mundane task and helps me to assess the mood, then it's fine. Or rather the organization wants to give a task basis that's fine. Beyond that, if you are going to rely that and conduct the life, I would like to recall, I do not know how many of you know Tamil, there was a movie called Irugapatru, which is give a tight hug, right? Among the couple stories who were in the verge of separating, one couple who is supposed to be a very nice counselor, she is driven into the app-based in terms of conducting her life and responses to the husband. So the husband thought that was natural, but the moment he gets to know that it is only app-induced behavior, so then the separation goes bigger and they throw the app out and they become one. Sort of, I mean.
Apply.
Yeah,
Have to apply.
exactly. So maybe as any technology, any gadget, I think there is a good and bad. Maybe we have to weigh. I really like that point of putting that odometer thing. It helps, definitely. So to which extent we go, how far we go, I think.
Interventions will
Yes,
drive
absolutely.
result in more.
And the future, we have to wait and see.
I go the devil's advocate, sir. I think having some things like this, probably you don't have to interfere, or at least it'll give you a discovery. You know what is around you, you know what's going on, because I think a lot of tasks and outcomes is largely dependent on every employee's mental health, as now that's the buzzword for the season, or I think it's very important, and at least you need to know what's the mental health of your staff, and how otherwise will you get to know if you don't have any measures and any you take on larger assignments, you take on larger projects, and you know very little. There is something going wrong, but you don't know what is going wrong, and it could not be directly, cannot be linear to the job, but it could be something else, right? First time I'm hearing about Moodometer, because I've never worked in a technology company, but I thought it's really nice, the whole that part.
He brought this up, during the post-pandemic situation where everybody moved remote overnight and we had no idea what people were going through.
I guess that's what I'm saying. So post-pandemic, a lot of people are used to working from home. Now suddenly they need to come back into work, and I think a lot of balance has been completely, it's become imbalanced right now. So you don't know what else is going on with them, right? And for larger managements who take on much bigger projects, they take on with a whim, but they hope that they get the best team out there to deliver what they've promised. So I think it's a good thing in a way. But yes, I will agree with him that as long as we don't intervene into their personal affairs too much, that's okay.
Or make it seem inauthentic from the organization side, right? I mean, just to sort of drive some outcomes, you are, kind of engaging with the tool, but not so much of, I mean, I think
as long as you keep that issue on the table and not get personal with the person.
Correct.
I think that's okay. It gives a good.
See, but inherently the problem is that the moment you get into any kind of analytics, and if you're talking about emotional analytics, A, it is data driven, and B, more importantly, anything subjective has to be brought down into a binary form. I mean, it has to be brought down to numbers for you to be able to drive data and run an analytics. And that's something that I've never really gotten my head around, especially when it comes to something like emotional analytics. I mean, emotions are as subjective as it can be. So the only way, in my view, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Anna, the only way to get emotional analytics is to bring down the emotions of individual employees into numbers. And how are we ever going to achieve that? And
I think I have an answer. If I'm not stealing the thunder from academia, actually I'll just structure my small discussion on 4 parts actually. Basically theory, where is this emotion coming from? Robert Plutchik, 1980s. He started with actually 8 basic emotions, which everybody knows. Joy, anger, resentment, trust, fear, all these things, like 8. From there, he just went in, Paul Ekman and Fraser. They just came in facial analysis, That's where we are talking about
Okay.
coding system. Where if you are a tight-lipped person and you smile, plastic smile, they call it as Panam smile.
Wow.
Your
Smile
lip
doesn't
goes,
reach the eye, you know that the person's fake.
I'm actually trying to do that now.
and if you are really smiling, it is called Duchenne smile. Another
Your
scientist-
smile was not fake
Yeah.
right now. The reason is the wrinkles should come.
Yeah, that's
Then it
right.
is genuine. If there is no wrinkles here and you smile, it is plastic.
If you are an anatomist, you will observe it.
said,
Actually, it is called ocularis. Arbitrus ocularis. I don't want to just give more take actually. So from there, what they did actually, Dr. Pritchard, actually, she is the MIT person who is just developing lot of analytics based on facial analytics, basically biometry, epidermal, everything. All put together, they have done, and she has also implemented certain things. Analytica, Empatica, two softwares are already there. But only thing is, ethically, certain things we will have to be taking it very carefully. Basically, yes, Southerner and Westerner, and especially Southeast Asian culture, completely they are different.
Yeah, I
My
think
yes is like
cultural
this,
appropriation
his yes is like
needed.
this.
Yes, yes.
So a lot of things you have to just take into consideration. So those things that AI has to inbuild. Very interestingly, Apple has already done that and dropped it. Emotion, there was an app.
Microsoft
which is
also has dropped their app.
And Snapchat, our own, it went bonkers. 2015, they had an app where you take a selfie with geotagging, they can find out your emotion, and specifically they can just give you products. Luckily, all these things are gone. American themselves, they are already, just because Chinese will take over the company and data. So that's how, I should not be quoting this anyway, China's OnePlus strategy, this is what is going on. But ABN AMRO, Philips, they work together. All the analysts, stock traders, they have just put a wrist strap so that their stress levels, their anxieties, their anger to win or perform to win, they have just measured, and this is basically helping them. Driver behavior based on your wrinkle, based on your tiredness, they are just giving you an indication.
Application is very
And
safe
well,
to drive, right?
learning, it's high time, big time it is helping. Are you attentive? Sir, XLR, I think you will be interested in. So these are the things. There are ethical concerns, but eventually it will come. 1997, maybe many of us would have seen. When you open the paper clip word, there will be a paper clip coming in.
Correct.
Dear so-and-so, are you writing a letter? We got so pissed off, irritated. We just discarded. Now, this is going to come. Grammarly or any app, it's going to suggest. See, my wife wakes up with Alexa and she's very happy. She is the only person who wishes me good morning, she says. Siri listens to everybody. So likewise, the apps are going to be here. We have to use it ethically and relevantly. So that's the idea.
And ensure it doesn't come in the way of our social connections.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the
One is a
day,
social animal.
is your intervention out of a genuine care or concern for your employees, or more like you've got to respond because you want to make sure that like you said, if it's, do you want to be on the higher zone in terms of how the numbers kind of are represented on your employees' mood, or out of a genuine need. I think it's about that, ensuring some